All right, let's get right into it. There's something absolutely mind-blowing about what happens when you spend time alone, especially if you're a chosen one. Yes, I'm talking to you. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that you were meant for something more, something deeper. That feeling that you're different, and not in a shallow, surface-level way, but in a profound, unshakable way that's rooted in your very soul. You've been alone, maybe for longer than you'd like to admit. But here's the truth, that solitude was preparing you in ways you can't even begin to imagine. And now, after that period of being alone, you've emerged with superpowers that most people can't even comprehend. These are the 5 superpowers that make chosen ones unstoppable after their time in isolation, and they are about to change the way you see yourself forever. The first superpower you gain after being alone is clarity. And I don't just mean clarity in a basic sense, like knowing what you want for lunch or what you're going to wear tomorrow. No, I'm talking about deep clarity, the kind of clarity that slices through all the noise of the world. When you've spent time alone, you start to realize that most of what people chase after, money, status, external validation, is completely meaningless. You see through it all. You start to understand that the only thing that really matters is your internal state, your connection with the universe, your alignment with your own soul. And here's the really crazy part. Once you gain this kind of clarity, you become unshakable. The opinions of others, they don't affect you anymore. The distractions of the world, they can't pull you off your path. You've seen through the illusion, and now you can move through life with laser focus, knowing exactly what you need to do and why you're here. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly clear about your purpose? When was the last time you knew without a doubt that you were on the right path? This kind of clarity doesn't come from being surrounded by people or from constantly seeking outside advice. It comes from being alone with yourself. That's where the magic happens. That's where you start to remember who you are, beyond the expectations of the world. And once you have that clarity, nothing can stop you. You become a force of nature, moving through life with purpose, direction, and confidence.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Now, let's talk about the second superpower, inner strength. When you're alone, you don't have anyone to lean on. And at first, that can feel terrifying. But over time, something incredible happens. You start to realize that you don't need anyone else to prop you up. You have everything you need within yourself. You develop an inner strength that is so powerful, so resilient, that nothing can break you. You've faced your own thoughts, your own fears, your own doubts, and you've come out the other side stronger than ever. Most people spend their lives avoiding being alone because they're afraid of what they might find. But you've faced the darkness head-on, and now you're stronger because of it. Let me ask you, how strong are you when no one is watching? How resilient are you when you're alone with your thoughts, with no distractions, no comforting words from others? That's where true strength is born. And after you've been alone, you no longer need the validation or support of others to feel strong. You've built that strength within yourself, and now it's yours to carry with you for the rest of your life. Now, the third superpower is something that every chosen one develops after their time in solitude, and it's the superpower of self-mastery. Let's be real, most people live their lives as slaves to their own minds. They're constantly reacting to external stimuli, constantly being pulled in 1,000 different directions by their thoughts, their emotions, their impulses. But when you've spent time alone, you start to realize that you have complete control over your mind. You start to see that your thoughts are just the thoughts. They're not reality. They're not the truth. And you have the power to choose which thoughts you entertain and which ones you let go of. This is huge. When you've mastered your mind, you become unstoppable. You're no longer a victim of your own emotions. You're no longer controlled by fear, doubt, or insecurity. You've learned how to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. You've learned how to stay calm in the midst of chaos, how to stay centered even when the world around you is falling apart. This is a level of mastery that few people ever attain, but after spending time alone, you've unlocked it. And now, you're able to move through life with a sense of control and power that few people can even comprehend. But let me ask you, how much control do you have over your own mind? How often do you let your thoughts control you instead of the other way around? This is one of the greatest lessons of solitude. When you're alone, there's no one else to blame for your thoughts and emotions. You're forced to take responsibility for your own mind, and in doing so, you unlock a level of self-mastery that changes everything. Now, let's talk about the fourth superpower, intuition. This is one that's often overlooked, but it's absolutely crucial. When you spend time alone, you start to develop a deep connection with your intuition. You start to realize that there's a part of you that always knows the truth. There's a part of you that always knows what's right for you, what path you should take, what decision you should make. But here's the thing, most people can't hear their intuition because they're constantly surrounded by noise. They're constantly listening to the opinions of others, constantly being bombarded by distractions. But when you're alone, all that noise fades away. You start to hear your own inner voice, and that voice becomes your greatest guide. This is a superpower, because once you've developed a strong connection with your intuition, you no longer need to rely on external advice or validation. You don't need anyone else to tell you what to do or what's right for you. You already know. You've tapped into a deep well of wisdom within yourself, and that wisdom will guide you through every decision, every challenge, every obstacle. So, let me ask you, how often do you listen to your intuition? How often do you trust that inner voice even when it goes against what others are telling you? So this is one of the greatest gifts of solitude. It helps you develop a relationship with your intuition that is stronger than anything else. And once you've developed that relationship, you become unstoppable. Alright, now we're getting to the final superpower, and this one is a game changer. After you've spent time alone, after you've faced your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, you develop the superpower of fearlessness. And I don't mean the kind of fearlessness that comes from recklessness or arrogance. No, I'm talking about a deep, unshakable fearlessness that comes from knowing the truth of who you are. You see, fear is only possible when you're disconnected from yourself. Fear arises when you believe in the illusions of the world, when you believe that you're small, that you're powerless, that you're vulnerable. But after you've spent time alone, you start to realize that none of those things are true. You start to realize that you are powerful beyond measure, that you are connected to something much greater than yourself, and that nothing in this world can truly harm you. This kind of fearlessness is incredibly rare. Most people spend their entire lives running from their fears, avoiding discomfort, staying in their comfort zones. But you, after your time in solitude, you've faced your fears head-on. You've stared into the abyss, and you've come out the other side stronger, wiser, and more fearless than ever before. Now, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing that can hold you back. You've overcome your greatest fears, and now you're ready to take on the world. But let me ask you, what are you most afraid of? What's the one thing that's been holding you back? The one fear that's kept you from stepping into your full power? Because here's the truth, once you face that fear, once you overcome it, you become unstoppable. Fear loses its grip on you, and you're able to move through life with a sense of freedom and power that most people can only dream of. And here's the most important part, this fearlessness isn't just about you, It's about the impact you're going to have on the world. Because once you become fearless, you're able to inspire others to do the same. You're able to show others what's possible when they stop letting fear control their lives. You become a beacon of light, a force of change, a leader who others look to when they need guidance and inspiration. Now that we've covered fearlessness, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle: purpose. After you've spent time alone, after you've endured the quiet, the introspection, and the growth, something profound happens. This is where everything comes together. You've gained clarity, inner strength, self-mastery, intuition, and fearlessness, but now all of these superpowers align with something far greater: your true purpose. And this, my friend, is what makes you truly unstoppable. Purpose is not just a vague idea or a lofty goal that sounds good on paper. It's that deep, internal knowing that you were put here for a reason. It's not something you chase or try to figure out with your mind. It's something you become. After your time in solitude, you realize that every single challenge, every moment of pain, every instance of feeling lost or alone was preparing you for this. You see, the universe was never punishing you. It was preparing you. Solitude was the training ground for your mission. The moments when you felt most disconnected were actually the moments where you were being reconnected to your higher self. And now you're ready to step into that mission fully. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why you've gone through so many trials? Have you ever asked yourself why it feels like your path has been so much harder than most? The answer is simple. You were chosen for something bigger. You were never meant for an ordinary life. You've always felt that, haven't you? Even when you couldn't explain it, there was a part of you that knew you were here for something more. And now, after your time alone, can finally see it clearly. The distractions have fallen away, the doubts have been silenced, and now you can see your purpose shining like a beacon in the distance. But here's the key. Purpose gives you power. When you are aligned with your true mission, nothing can stop you. The obstacles that used to seem insurmountable now just look like stepping stones. The opinions of others? They don't matter anymore. The fear of failure? It's gone. Because you understand that failure is just part of the journey. When you are aligned with your purpose, you wake up every day with a fire inside of you that pushes you forward no matter what. You're no longer just going through the motions of life. You're no longer drifting aimlessly. You have a direction, a mission, and it fuels you like nothing else. But let me ask you something deeper. What is your purpose? What is the thing that makes your heart race, that lights you up, that pulls you forward no matter what? Because here's the truth. Your purpose is not just about you. It's about the impact you're meant to have on the world. It's about the lives you're meant to touch, the people you're meant to inspire, the change you're meant to create. And the world needs that. The world needs you. There's a reason you've been given these superpowers. There's a reason you've gone through the trials of solitude. It wasn't just for your own evolution, it was so you could use your gifts to elevate others, to bring more light into this world. Purpose is what transforms you from someone who is merely surviving to someone who is thriving. So when you know why you're here, you're no longer afraid to take risks. You're no longer afraid to fail. And you understand that every step, whether it's forwards or backwards, is part of your journey. And now, after your time in solitude, you're ready to live that purpose with everything you've got. So here's the final question. Are you ready to fully embrace your purpose? Are you ready to step into the role you were born for, to unleash your gifts and become the unstoppable force of nature that you were always meant to be? Because now is the time. You've been prepared, you've been tested, and now it's time to rise. The world needs your light. The world needs your purpose, and only you can bring it. So, what are you waiting for?